Should these entitlement programs be for the truly needy or everyone, regardless of net worth? Is it an open checkbook?
You know, the Social Security program is a program that's worked very well for, 70 plus years. It's a program that, won't miss a payment now until 2041. I think there's some things we need to do with Social Security to make it more fit for the future, quite frankly, because it is in a position where it will run out of money. And I think, once again, we do everything except privatize it. I'm not in favor of taking money out of the trust fund and putting it in personal accounts, because I think it has the potential of bringing that 2021 figure or the 2041 figure, depending on which numbers you want to look at, closer to today. So my suggestion for Social Security would be to put the solutions on the table and find ways. One way could be to invest the money smarter within the trust fund and hopefully raise the kind of revenue necessary to make sure this program goes on. It's arguably one of the most successful programs that the federal government has had, but I'm not in favor of cutting benefits.
Conrad, 60 seconds.
Solutions to those two programs are the most difficult we have to deal with. There's no question about it. Plus another one called Medicaid. Those three programs take up about 60% of the outlays from government. Now, I don't like the idea of personal accounts or privatization either. But I heard Senator Tester say one thing. I would invest smarter from the trust fund. What would you invest in? Which direction do you want to take us? Do we invest in another government? Or you name one other part of government that could take care and deal with the problems that we have? Let's do talk about it. We need a national dialogue on how we deal, because Americans like Social Security.
John,
and I'm fully supportive.
Well, I think the investments will need to be absolutely safe and get the maximum yield we can have with the absolute most security, because it's a safety net. As far as other governments, no, I'm not in favor of that. That's one of the problems I have with what's gone on in the last 5 years. Our foreign debt has doubled in the last 5 years. And, we don't run our businesses that way. We don't run our families that way. And I don't think our government will work that way. When you start doubling the national debt to foreign countries every 5 years, we're in for a rude awakening, and it takes away opportunity. It's time for a change.
Mike Dennison, question for Conrad Burns.
Senator Burns, in the last 5 or 6 years, there have been increasing restrictions placed on which veterans are eligible for health care through the VA system. I'm wondering if you support those changes, and if not, what have you done to oppose them?
We have probably increased the VA budget as much since 2001 as it's ever grown. It's some 56%. In fact, I was the one that passed the $1.7 billion appropriation to bring it up to snuff just 3 years ago, and we did it on our bill, on the Interior bill. I've extended health care clinics and outpatient clinics in Montana, 7 of them, I think, outside here, where those veterans now that used to be Class 7 and 8 that the administration wanted to cut off, now they can get their health care, and especially their prescription drugs. They didn't have to come all the way to Fort Harrison here in Helena. We continue an outreach in veterans to make it more available to our veterans. And right here, let me make one announcement. We're standing here in Helena, Montana. Fort Harrison is in the top 5 of veterans hospitals for the care you get and the facilities in all this country.
John, 60 seconds.
Well, I think we need to live up the obligations that we have to our veterans. There's no mistake about it. And the veteran groups that I've went around the state and met with tell me that the VA is underfunded by 40%. That the benefits that they thought they had when they signed up aren't there, that mileage reimbursement isn't to the level it should be. I think it's 11 cents a mile or something, which hardly pays for, it doesn't pay for the gas. And the fact is that there's some veterans that have to pay for their health care. I think that's unfortunate. I have advocated in my tax plan that I rolled out a 5% tax credit for dishonorably discharged veterans, because I think they deserve it. And quite frankly, I don't think they should have to pay for their health care. If they've put their life on the line for this country, we need to make sure that, that they're taken care of. And I think these funds need to be mandatory, not discretionary.
Conrad, 30 seconds.
Well, it's always been a discretionary fund, and under the VA system. And just like I said, it's fully funded. The research is fully funded. Everything that the VA wants. Now, does it have little glitches in it? Yes. And every time we come in, or the veteran comes in, appeals to us that he's not getting his benefits, you know what we do? We get on it, we get the benefits for him. That's what we're there for. And any bureaucracy will spin out of control every now and again. But I think the veterans right now have a good health care.
Chuck, question for John Tester.
In Monday's debate, you said you were against all earmarks. What exactly did you mean by that? How will you ensure that federal agencies won't forget Montana if you're in the Senate when it comes to federal highway funds, Indian Health Service, and the like?
More specifically, Chuck, it's the earmarks that are put on, might not be at dead of night, but it's right next to the dead of night, where we don't have the ability to have scrutiny from the public or the folks in Congress. And these earmarks go on without any name. They're often put on one night and they're taken up the next day on the floor without any discussion, and they're moved through the process. And I just don't think that's right. I think government needs to be open. I think you need to have the transparency and be able to have your congresspeople and the people in society be able to scrutinize these earmarks. And like I said before, it's happened plenty of times in the past, and it's one of the reasons we end up with a national debt that's ballooned to $30,000 per person. The fact is, in Washington, D.C., you need somebody who can balance a checkbook. I've done it in the private sector. I've done it in the public sector. Senator Burns has done neither.
Conrad.
Mr. Tester is flat wrong. I don't know where he's getting his information, but it's wrong. I don't know of a subcommittee chairman. I get 1,600 requests for earmarks during the appropriations process, just in Interior Appropriations. 1,600. Not near that many is honored. He was worried a while ago about an Indian tribe that earmarked $3 million. You know what? That wasn't my earmark. That wasn't mine. You know whose it was? It was Senator Levin and Senator Stabenow's. They're senators from Michigan. They got that money through the full committee chairman at that time, through Robert Byrd, through Senator Robert Byrd. And that's the sole truth. That was their earmark. I make them put their name on it, and I make them defend it.
John, 30 seconds.
Stories change as time goes on. I will tell you that the bureaucracy needs to be reined in fact, if that's where we're at. I heard in the last debate about a bureaucracy that wouldn't work together, so we have had to have an act of Congress to make them work together. If the bureaucracy is making decisions as to where this money is spent, as far as what state it's being spent in and things like that, without earmarks, I think we need to change the system. There's inherent problems there, and it needs to be changed.
Jackie, have you got a quick yes or no question we can put up?
No.
Or close to that?
Maybe. I'll try.
Short answers. We're running out of time.
Sure.
Maybe 30 seconds
If
each.
the war in Iraq is a just and noble cause, would you encourage your son or your daughter to join the armed forces and take up this fight?
It goes to Conrad first.
I don't think that it is me to encourage him. These young people now is an all-volunteer army. There is no draft. And what they tell me, if my son wanted to go, or my daughter, I would be very proud of them. And yes, I would encourage him to do some service for the United States of America. I spent 3 years in the United States Marine Corps. I volunteered for the Marine Corps. And I would encourage other young people to do the same, because I think it's incumbent that we do that. Now,
We're going to hold these to 30 seconds. We're running down on time. So John?
Then I quit.
It truly is a personal decision in this particular case of my kids. And I will tell you that right now, the war in Iraq, we've had very poor political leadership. The military has done a marvelous job there. And if my children want to go over there and serve in that cause, that's their call to make. But I'll tell you right now, there were not weapons of mass destruction, and it hasn't been tied to 9/11. 18-year-old mustard gas are not weapons of mass destruction.
Mike, if you got a question we can do quickly here, 30 seconds.